Hi there, this is your friend Anna, and the question that I've been getting the most from all of my friends is what are we wearing? This age-old question isn't just about choosing an outfit, it's about choosing how we present ourselves to the world. I created the I Want Her Shoes podcast to dive deep into what it means to dress with intention, whether you're heading to a council meeting or just having a casual day out with your family. Join the conversation as we explore the power of personal style and the decisions that shape our public personas. Put on your favorite pair of shoes and step into my closet. Welcome back to I Want Her Shoes podcast, where we step into the lives of powerhouse women reshaping their industries and rewriting the rules. I'm your host, Anna, and today we're sitting down with a true visionary who is building the future of women's health, one bold decision, one smart solution, one deeply human insight at a time. Meet Kerstin Recker Alexandre, CEO and co-founder of Peli Health, a digital platform focused on pelvic and sexual wellness for women. A global operator, brand architect, and strategy queen, Kerstin has led transformational work across AI, health tech, media, and mission-driven startups. From scaling global go-to-market campaigns to launching nonprofits in Africa, wow, that's amazing, and advising purpose-led companies, her career is grounded in flow, fierce determination, and fearless curiosity. Today, she's turning her full attention to building the digital front door for preventative care in women's health, a space really long overdue for innovation, empathy, and real access. Kerstin, welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and all this fabulousness in you.
Well, let's start at the root. Sure. Where did you grow up? What brought you to Miami? And how did you end up in this pelvic health journey?
Sure. Happy. So I'm originally a girl from the Midwest. Corn-fed, beef-bred,
Love
as
it.
I like to say. Can take the girl out of the Midwest, but not the Midwest out of the girl. And from there, I went to New York City for undergrad and grad school, where I lived for almost 19 years. So I always like to say I became an adult in New York City.
Well, that's the best place.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I don't regret it. And then about 10 years ago, we moved down to Miami. I think we just both needed a change. My partner, my husband. We spent initially 4 years here, then went to Boston, had a Boston winter, and we're like, nope, we're moving back to Miami. And we've stayed and we love it from a lifestyle perspective, from a health perspective. It's just a wonderful place for us to be.
And agreed. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Yes, Miami is amazing.
And fabulous people like yourself.
Yes, and you do meet fabulous people, because I feel like that is, Miami has bad rep for that, but it's not true.
Yeah,
now
not true.
Everybody's here, so.
Not true. I think there's some really incredible people everywhere you go.
Yes, it just depends, who you talk to, how you
Yeah.
present yourself, and also how you carry yourself, which we'll talk about.
And curiosity.
Curiosity, of course. So I know that you told me a little bit about your journey off camera, but I would love you to share this with the audience, kind of what brought you to really think about Peli health, because it's such kind of a thing that people don't talk about. They don't know about it. They're kind of, maybe there's shame around it even, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of shame, and there is a lot of stigma. There's a lot of lack of education, lack of awareness around the issue or challenges. So my journey into pelvic health started with I gave birth cesarean with my son. And following that, I experienced excruciating pelvic pain. No one prepared me for it. I did, like many women, there's actually a survey that was recently done, I think it came out a couple of years ago, where 81% of the women that were pregnant had not received any pelvic health education. So that's still the majority, right? And that there's also a common misconception that if you do not have a baby, you don't have to worry. It's a huge myth. So women in general not being educated. My journey was, I went to 4 different doctors. One told me that I needed to relax and have a glass of wine. Unfortunately,
Wow. Oh my God.
yeah, unfortunately, that's medical gaslighting. It's not uncommon, and it can be really deterring for women. For me, it put a bee in my bonnet. I don't like being told there's no solution in general for most things.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time online searching, lots of it, searching for information. I found my own way. My situation had become so critical, I actually needed to go through intensive PT. I went pelvic PT, so it's all inner work, and we can talk about what's that mean. And I found my way to a pelvic PT here in Miami, who's now on our clinical advisory board, and Dr. Pam Downey. And I went through 4 months of intensive pelvic floor physical therapy, going 2 to 3 times a week for an hour and a half to 2 hours a session. That's a long time. But what that did is open my eyes. One, I didn't even know it existed. I will say that stuff has changed and is changing, so it's becoming more common. Two, I happen to live in an urban area that has access to a specialist.
Right.
Remember, I grew up in the Midwest. I have cousins that live in rural Iowa, Nebraska. They can't drive 4 hours one way or 8 hours round trip, especially if they've got 4 kids at home. It's just impossible. And two, I could afford it. And what I mean by that is I could take the time off of work. And two, it was out of pocket. You are seeing more cases where pelvic PT is beginning to get covered, but in many cases it's not. And if it is covered, your wait times are 9 to 12 months.
Wow. So then by then, like, you're not going to probably even... I mean, or is it going to be so bad that you're going to be in pain? Yeah. What are you supposed to do? Yeah,
could be all
crazy.
of it. And you're in the meantime of that, people are suffering mentally. There's a huge, don't quote me on this, but it's like 6 to 8 times more likely to suffer from a mental health issue if you have pelvic floor dysfunction, of which 1 in 3 women, I just want to state
that is a lot,
will suffer at some point in their lives. So while my journey was kind of the impetus to open up this whole world, I think I got really frustrated and wanted to make access to information, education, and finding providers. And I think one of the things that is important to state is that when you have pelvic floor dysfunction, it's not just the physical, it's the mental, your diet, it's also sexual health. And so we kind of encapsulate all of that. But I think, at the end of the day, women tend to be the CEOs of their family's health and the CEOs of their health. So they're actively seeking solutions, and I think it's just making them more accessible.
Yeah, well, thank you for looking for the solution to this problem, which nobody ever mentioned it to me when I had my children.
Yeah.
So, people are really focused on your boobs.
They're very focused on your boobs. And then I think also here, depending on where you are in the world, it moves from, the mom to the baby, and the baby's really important, but there's a whole lot of stuff happening still in your
there's definitely not a lot of,
Yeah.
Like, nobody's really checking it.
No.
So,
no.
Thank you for doing that. And speaking about, I know you talked about women being CEOs, and speaking about leadership, your leadership is rooted in curiosity, determination, and flow. How do those principles shape how you show up as a founder and as a woman in tech?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'll go with flow, because I think flow is a really important one for me, but also just in life. We just came back from a vacation where my son went whitewater rafting for the first time.
That sounds fun.
And I only bring this up because I also think there's so much in nature that reflects to our lives when we kind of go out and challenge the elements. And he was just paddling and paddling, and I literally said to him, you have to stop paddling against the current. We just need to flow with it. And I know that's like a cheesy example, but I think
it's like a life lesson.
It's a life lesson, right?
Yeah.
There is, right? When there's the fight that you fight, right? And we'll talk a little bit about like running a women's health company today. But there's also like this, like, I think friction is good. There's good friction and there's bad friction. So you have to pay attention to like, where am I feeling this in my body?
Right.
And how am I pushing, water uphill, or am I like moving with the current? It's a little bumpy right now and it's a little rocky, but this feels directionally where I should go. So that's kind of like my flow.
I love that. That's beautiful.
That's my flow. And curiosity, I think, I love learning. So I'm constantly like, with pelvic health, I'm like, well, why don't we learn about it?
Yeah.
You know, what is stopping that from happening? Why is there so much shame around it? Why is there so I get really curious about many things, including people. I want to understand them and know them, and I think the world is full of really fascinating people and problems to solve, and you know, sometimes it just starts by asking a question.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's a great answer. And you've worked and lived in really amazing places like Haiti, Kazakhstan. Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, South Africa and France. Those are like all very different spots. How have these global experiences, and also Miami too, which is completely different from
totally different. Yeah.
And Boston. Yeah.
And Boston and New York.
Yeah. How have these global experiences influenced your approach to empathy, innovation, leadership, and also style? Like, how has that been different? Because that is such a drastic, I mean, the climates, everything.
Everything. So I worked in most of those places. And for quite, like, I used to spend half the month in Kazakhstan for almost a year.
Kazakhstan, wow.
Yeah. And I loved it. It was so different. They're all very different, right? I think those experiences helped me to gain different perspectives. I think when you're working in different cultures and different environments, you really have to listen and you have to sit back a little bit, right? Because how you show up in Kazakhstan is not the same way you're going to show up in France, right?
Yes.
And those relationships take a long time to build, but we also need to take into like the cultural context, the historical context of the environment you're in. And again, that theme of curiosity, getting really curious, right? Like, I think, you know, in American culture, we can be very, we're kind of more matter of fact, I think, when it comes to business, which in some cultures can be really off-putting. And so learning to finesse that. So I think where it shows up in leadership for me is, I think it's helped me with adaptability and deep empathy and trying to understand where we're starting so we can get to where we need to go. And style. So as a person who became adult, as I said at the beginning, in New York City, I was constantly wearing black. I still love black.
That's like New York's
It's New
vibe.
York, right?
Yeah.
Sleek, sexy, black, like bold. But now, as you say, I'm wearing sunshine. Still a fan of the pantsuit. But I think, you know, living in Miami and going to some of the other places like Haiti and other places in the Caribbean when I was working in those areas, and I also did Southeast Asia and Indonesia. It's just the color. There's something about color, right? Like, bring the sunshine.
Right. Yeah, the sunshine, the color. You know, that's what it makes. I feel like if there's more sunshine, you just feel
better, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You love color.
Yes,
and
as you get.
Yes, I mean, look at this fabulous closet. But it just brings something into the room, I think.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It does. And I mean, I feel like when I was growing up, black was only worn to funerals.
Oh,
you know,
it is so true. Except for New York, it's like worn all the time.
Well, yes, exactly. New York is just like a suit, you know, like kind of like a uniform. But
yeah, it's like a uniform. So. It's funny you say that because I remember when I first went to college and I kept coming back, and my mom was like, "Where are you going, to a funeral?"
Yeah,
because
exactly.
all I
that's
was
like
wearing is black.
Yeah, because I guess that's what that's what people kind of put that color towards, right? Like, or professionalism.
I'm sure there's some like some practicality in there, right? Like, if I'm thinking about you're like constantly trousing through the streets, and maybe it just doesn't look as dirty. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier to clean, you know, easier to manage.
Something in there.
And you've worn many hats: strategist, advisor, founder, mother. How do you prioritize and also protect your energy and stay connected to what matters most? Because that's a lot of different things.
It is a lot of different things. I know you juggle a lot of things too. For me, I think, here's something I just don't believe. I don't believe that you can be 100% at all the things all the time. And so I think if you start with that understanding, you give yourself permission. Mm-hmm. Maybe sometimes your children need a little bit more attention, or your parents need a little bit more attention. And that means something might not get as much over here, but it's okay because things kind of ebb, and going back to that flow, things ebb and flow, and we get pulled towards where we're needed most. That doesn't mean you let something fall.
Yep.
But you have to lean into those moments. And in terms of calm, I'm a huge meditator. I've been meditating for, I don't know, almost 15 years now.
That's awesome. That's good.
It's great. And it doesn't matter to me. I'm a big believer in, like, it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes at the start or the end of your day, or some people, you know, they have an hour in the morning. I envy those people. I'm looking forward to that moment in my life. It's coming
yes.
eventually. But I think, like, finding, it doesn't need to be meditation. I think there's so much noise in our world today. From the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed, I think just creating moments of stillness without a screen,
yes.
like just a moment of stillness, a little pause where there's 3 deep breaths. I think that can always keep you grounded in whatever situation you're in, whether you're kind of having whether it's work is going nuts or family is, you know, really going nuts, like finding that just 5 minutes of stillness can really shift a moment.
Agreed. No, that is true. That's the truth, yes. And what's one outfit or piece that you reach for when you want to feel like bold, grounded, and unapologetically in your zone? Is there something like that in your closet? Because I know you mentioned you don't have that many pieces. So.
No, that's funny, because we were talking before this. I'm a little bit of a minimalist, although I'm not as bad as I used to be. When we were speaking earlier, I told you at one point I had culled my closet down to 100 items, which seems crazy.
And why is that? Is that because of like just is that sustainability? Is it just more like you didn't, like it's easier for you to actually use your clothes if you only have 100 pieces?
Ease, and like I was going through this big period like of waste, whether it was like digital waste or physical waste in my life, and I was like, let's just streamline, and like if I can focus on these things, let's be really efficient about using these things. Now you're getting a little trip into my personality.
Yes.
But like, and I still keep it fairly minimal because I like the efficiency of like, let's get things we love, cycle through them, and then replace. That's me. Oh, and power pieces.
Yes.
Things that make me feel really confident. So going to that is, I've got one section of my closet that are just like my go-to pieces for that. I'm a huge monochromatic suit person.
I love that too.
Today,
yes, I love that too.
Yellow.
I love like just like not just the suit, but like just the outfits.
Just the outfits. Like
it makes things easier. That's why I have mine like color coded, so you can like find.
I love this. Like I'm obsessed with this. My personality loves the color coding. But yeah, I just think there's something about a bold, like a monochromatic suit. For me, it's a pantsuit that I just feel really put together. I feel like the look looks polished, and it just
yes, and it's in. It's always in. It's
always
timeless.
It's classic.
Timeless. What's yours?
Classic. Here's
Love
the classics.
The classics. Yes. And let's go back and talk a little bit more about pelvic and sexual health, because these are areas that are often left out of the mainstream care. And why do you think that is? Like, I don't, and what, what do you guys, I know that we talked a little bit about what you guys doing, but maybe you could talk a little bit about what the goal is for Peli.
Sure. Let's start with the first part of that question is, why do I think it's left out of the conversation? And there's a lot of reasons. They're compounding reasons. Some of them are a little more complex than the others. I'll start with one really simple one. It's just not something we talk about. Yeah. And we can talk about why. It could be cultural reasons. It could be that feels very private. It could be that maybe you have your own trauma that you carry, and that's just not a comfortable subject for you. So there's that. It's not like you meet your girlfriends for coffee and are like, how's your pelvic floor, right? Although I feel like I'm always
asking. In the City, they'll be talking about their floors.
Yes, they actually do. They had an episode where they're talking about Kegels, but we can talk about Kegels too. That's part of it. Another part of it is that it's just not it hasn't been part of routine standard care for women. There is cases right now, you're starting to see some shift where the pelvic health conversation is coming up. It is usually around pregnancy. I would be remiss not to mention my
menopause, maybe?
Well, so I would be remiss not to mention my co-founder, who she's in a little bit different life stage than me. She's going through the menopausal transition,
which is great because then you have information for both different age groups, right?
That's right. And I bring up the menopause to your question is she was getting a lot of information about HRT, hot flashes, no lack of sleep, a little bit about vaginal dryness, but not about what was actually going on. Like 50% of women that go through menopausal transition will experience vaginal atrophy. That's where the vaginal canal actually shrinks. It's a normal part of life for many women. However, there are things that you can do, but you need to know about them earlier. So another part is there's just not a lot of research. Like a lot of things in women's health, there's not a massive body of research around the topic. And then
until now.
And then there's another part of this, which is on the medical school side, right? Like some people I hear a lot of times are like, oh, my doctor doesn't know anything. Well, it hasn't been a part of the curriculum. And usually what gets into the curriculum is what's based on research. So you have this domino effect of problem that cascades into our lives and many women's lives. So that's part of the challenge that's occurring. It's part of the reason in femtech, which is the sector we're technically in, it's part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of female-founded companies, not all female-founded, but a lot of them are founded out of stories like mine, whether it's autoimmune or cardiovascular.
Yeah, because isn't it true that just now, like in the last maybe couple decades, they started doing a lot more testing and like looking into women's actual issues, because before it was all like everything was done on men's data, right? So because they didn't have a lot of data for women, so
they didn't. And we had, I don't remember the exact years, like 1970s, there was this study that was done, and the result of that, a lot of women that were pregnant ended up with issues with the fetus, and so there was a massive pullback too far where women were left out of research studies. And so there's like a 30-year gap where that happened, and we can even say longer than that.
That's interesting,
But the rationale for doing it makes a lot of sense. But then a lot needs to shift, right? Because women are not just small men, right?
Yes, that's from Mel. Well, not Mel Robbins, but who was the woman that was on her episode that said that she was really amazing?
Oh, there's been Amanda Wright has been on there. There's some really phenomenal women that have been on there. Yeah, but it is true. Like. From a biology,
we need all kinds of different things.
We need all different things. Yeah, medicine affects us different. The way we have a heart attack is different.
So, well, it's really nice that finally we're looking into that. And ladies, there's a lot of opportunities for that. And I think that goes into the question for those women who are looking into like not taboo or underserved spaces. Like, what would your advice be?
Yeah. My advice is, I have a couple things that are kind of banging around in my head, so I'll just kind of list them off. But, if you enter in a taboo space, you might look around and feel a little lonely because not a lot of companies are there. But that's opportunity.
Exactly, that's like the blue ocean. Yeah, I'm all about the blue ocean.
It's strategy. The blue ocean, and just because it's taboo, right? Like, doesn't mean you shouldn't be there. Like, double down on that. See where your opportunity is. But it might make, right? Like we were just talking about, pelvic health is stigmatized. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. So turn that stigma into a strength, right? How do you create the conversation in the right places where those women can feel comfortable to have a space to go to have someone to talk to? So I think, make stigma your strength. Where there's space, there's opportunity. And the other thing I would say is you really have to be convicted on your why. Because you're going to get a lot of no's, whether you're fundraising or not. You're going to get a lot of no's, a lot of I'll share one that we got was, this happened to be while fundraising, but it could be out anywhere. And it's actually, I went to a tech event, and similar reaction was one reaction was pelvic health. Well, isn't that niche? I'm like, I don't know, a third of the population with issues, you tell me, is that niche? Maybe. I don't think so.
No, I mean, you said 1 out of 3 women, right? So that's not niche. Yeah, it's just kind of like, as I said, it's underserved.
It's underserved. And another event I was at, somebody said, well, your pelvic floor, does that even matter to your body? Like, is that even really important? Because no one talks about it. And instead of getting mad in those situations, those are an opportunity to turn it to a strength again, to educate
them. Yeah, exactly. Like actually look like it's a big part of your body.
It is. It's a mat. Like it literally, and we can bleep this out, but it literally is holding your shit together.
Yeah,
your pee, your poop,
yeah,
all of it. Your sexual function, your lower back strength, your hip strength, and it is a muscle just like anything else, right? Like we're at the gym pumping iron to like be toned, also have good bone health, hopefully. But all the things, you spend a lot of money on taking care of your skin. But the thing that literally holds your shit together, most of us have been ignoring it most of our lives.
So no opportunities, and I think there's probably more to be done around this.
More to be done. So just doubling down on that why. Really, your North Star, being really convicted in it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you so much. And your energy is equal parts of powerhouse and present, which is amazing since you've been meditating for 15 years. That's beautiful. How would you describe your leadership style, both in mindset and your wardrobe as well?
Mindset and wardrobe. Mindset wise, I think you hit a lot of them. I'm always curious. I'm curious about, what my co-founder has to say, to an advisor or someone we just randomly meet. I'm generally curious because those are little moments within each of those. So I think I'm curious, I'm listening all the time. I look at data, but I don't let data direct me 100%. I think you gotta have a gut. You gotta have a gut. You gotta trust your intuition, and pay attention to it. So I think that's where the meditation helps. Also, I think it keeps me very calm.
Yes,
right?
You have very calm vibe.
I love that. Fantastic. But I just think, right, like, especially starting a business, which you know very well, there are so many ups and downs. And even in corporate, I worked, almost 14 years in big corporate America, and that has challenges. So finding ways to stay grounded and have perspective, I think, is important. In style, I love efficiency, hence the minimalism, which we talked about. I don't like waste in style, nor do I like it in work. So I think always making sure, like, how can I be optimizing and more efficient? How do I, like, lean into the things that I know work for me from a style perspective, and, like, really quickly rid out what does not.
Well, let's talk about, because you're one of the people that is so efficient that you wore the shoes, yes, and I know, like, the people that do that, those are, like, the super efficient minimalist ones. So tell us about these beautiful shoes that you wore, and they have it seems like they're one of your key pieces, and they've always been.
They are. They're one of my key pieces. I bought these for myself after one of my promotions, so they're not new babies, but they are my tried and true babies.
For those that are not, or they're not watching, these are Gucci, like, these are the classic, they're like the little pumps, or they're like the thick heels, and they have like the Gucci gold, like, little chains on the front, and they're tan, which are like timeless, and you can go
timeless
anywhere, anytime.
They
with
match everything. Yes. They match everything. They go anywhere. They zhuzh up an outfit. You can wear them with jeans. You can wear them with a suit. You can. I love them.
They're comfortable,
and they're so comfortable. Yeah. And I used to walk all the time. But the other thing, I love a block heel. And going back to what makes you feel powerful, there is something about a stomp with a block that I'm like, yes, girl.
I love that. Well, cheers to stomp with a block heel. No, that's a great story, and I love the shoes. And now I'm going to ask you this quick little fire round of this or that.
I'm ready.
Pitch deck or product roadmap?
Product roadmap.
Slides and stilettos or calls and joggers?
Calls and joggers.
Love that.
All about the health.
Cape Town inspiration trip or NYC investor sprint?
NYC investor sprint.
Bold red lip or fresh face glow?
Fresh face.
Yes, that's what you always had. Global expansion or deep local impact?
Ooh. This one, go local, go deep before you go global.
True.
Depending on what you're doing.
Yes, that's true. Walk and talk brainstorm or candlelit journal session?
Walk and talk what was it?
Walk and talk brainstorm or candlelit journal session?
Walk and talk brainstorm. However, can I caveat this one?
Yeah, of course.
So I just did something, which I've never been a big journaler, but I just did something over the summer. It's like a meditation practice, which is mindful writing, where you literally write for 15 minutes. every day. No agenda, just sit down and write whatever comes out. It was incredible. So like in terms of like clearing, but also uncovering. So also a big fan of that, but I would still like the walk-in right store.
Love that. And burnout recovery retreat or boardroom breakthrough?
Boardroom breakthrough.
Yes, agreed. And Kerstin, thank you for being a force for smart innovation and soulful leadership. You're not just building a startup, you're building infrastructure for care, really, that's long been missing. Your story proves that tech, when led by heart and lived experience, can change the world, especially for us women. And to everybody listening, if you've ever felt dismissed, overlooked, or underserved in your own healthcare journey, this episode is for you, and please feel free to share it with your friends. And explore what Kerstin and her team are doing at Peli Health. We'll share the links. And remember, your voice, your wellness, and your story matter. And until next time, stay visionary, stay grounded, and remember the most powerful thing you could wear is your truth. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
So much fun.
Yay.